I wanted to talk to you about the Artfully Sent Cricut cartridge. It's one of their famous Friends cartridges, and it's geared for lots of different things, but it's mainly geared for card makers. And I've had some people ask me in the past about how the close to my heart cartridges work with all of the different images. You can see that it has up to 700 images in here, and when you get a cartridge, it's hard to understand how it can be that it's that full. So I'm going to go through one whole page worth of cuts to show you just one small sample of how the cartridge works, and then I'll show you the end product. So I'm taking number one, the key for number one, which if you push the shift key will give you the exclamation mark. And then on the overlay there are 6 other options to push. There's the pop-up option, and on here it tells you to cut it at 7 inches. So if you cut that at 7 inches, you get a card that looks like this. And you can also just cut this with your cutter if you want to, but the advantage to using the Cricut is that there are some tiny little perforated lines that you can follow up with that. And then if you push the pop-up button again and use the shift key, you'll get this part, and I'll show you how this is assembled later. But you still have it at 7 inches, and you can see it didn't cut it the same size, and the reason for that is that the cartridge is programmed to correspond with whatever it is that the first card is at that size. So you leave it at 7 inches, and then over here, this is the icon. It's still 7 inches listed here, and you would think, well, maybe I'm going to get this huge call me bubble. But you don't. You get the right size that's for the inside of this card. And this one, the Call Me, is the regular icon. And then if you use the shift key, you'll get this up. And once again, that's also at 7 inches. And then in the next row over, it's the Scene. And if you use Scene and it tells you to do 7 inches, you get, let me move this out of the way, you get the card that looks like this, and it's perforated here. And then if you push the shift key, it's still at 7 inches, you'll get this insert. And then you probably saw the cute little Scotty that came out of there, so you can save that for something else. And then next to that you have the sentiment section, and this is at 7 inches for let's see, this one, it says Cheerio, and then this is 5.5 inches, it says, and it's the sentiment key still with the shift button pushed, and you'll get this shape. And then the next line is the sleeve, and now it says 6 inches, and so I used this paper for that. And you can use whatever kind of paper you want, and these aren't even the suggestions for papers here, it's just to show you that they're different cuts. So this is at 6 inches, the sleeve key at 7 inches with the shift makes this design. I'll move this one out of the way. Get my little Scotty dog out of the way here. Makes that design. And then the last one is the pocket card, and this is at 6 inches. And so there's this one, and I did this twice actually so that I could use a different color if I wanted to for the conversation bubbles. But it's a card that you could use for pocket scrapbooking, or you can use it on a regular scrapbook layout, or you could also use it in a greeting card. And then the smaller size, so that was at 6 inches, this one's 4 inches, and you get that cute little card. So I'm going to show you what they all look like once they've been assembled. And the assembly instructions for the pop-up cards come in a separate little booklet, and so it'll tell you right here, that was number 1. So here's number 1, and then here's the instructions for that card. It's very simple, you just follow along the diagram there, but I'll show you in just a moment. Okay, so everything's assembled. I took the cut out from the small pocket card that said hello, and just glued that to the front of the pop-up card. And then this is how that turns out. And then these were the two icon pieces. And then the card that, it looks like this, it's the scene one. And what it is the outside card. Here, I'll show you this one first. It's the outside card, and then you have this insert. And some people don't like to do little gluing, and that's fine. You can certainly do it this way if you want to, and you just put the insert down and adhere it with your favorite adhesive. I happen to use double-sided tape because it's pretty inexpensive, and it's a card, and most people aren't going to keep it. But the way that this, I think, is intended is to glue the telephone booth to the insert, and then have it so that you can write on the inside part of the card without seeing the writing from the front that you would here. And for this, I just used the Bonding Memories glue, which is really nice because it's a wet glue, but it doesn't squish out all over everything. And then for the two cards, these were the ones that are in the sentiment area. So this one was 7 inches and this was 5.5. So what that gives you is a 5x7 card. And I just stuck in an insert of pear green. If I wanted this to be, I guess look a little bit better, I probably would have put another piece of white cardstock here, but I'm okay with that. Because it also, if I'm mailing this, it adds to the weight of the card. So that is one of the reasons, because I send most of my cards. And then this one, it was cut at 5.5, which really meant that it's 5.5, and then when it's folded together, it makes a 4.25. So this goes in a standard size envelope. I stamped it. There's a set of stamps that 3 sets of stamps actually that comes with the Artfully sent cartridge, and so this was one of the sentiment stamps on there. And then I just backed this little section with the same Lagoon blue, and you don't need to do that. This is just extra stuff that I tend to do. And as I showed you, here's the small pocket card. Here were the 2 large ones. And I did stick the little Scotty dog on here just because I thought it was so cute. So that's those. And then the sleeve section, there were 2 sleeves, and one is cut at 6 inches and the other one is cut at 7 inches. So this is the 6-inch one. And I stuck my daughter's little dog in here. It's hard to tell. It's sort of like a little Chewbacca, but he's a dog. But you could put another card in there. But I just stuck a little photo. And then because I used pattern paper, the B&T blush paper, brush paper, I did put a piece of cardstock just as an insert to give it some stability because it's not as of a heavy weight as cardstock. So that's something to sort of consider. And the way you assemble these, it's just you fold over the flaps and then you glue them down. And once again, I just use Bonding Memories glue. And I put the flaps on the inside just because I didn't like how they looked on the outside. But it doesn't matter. You can do it any way you want to. And then this is the other one from that same cut. And this is the one that was at 7 inches. So I made a 7 by 5-inch card, and I used a stamp again from that same set, and I cut it out more than once so that I would get these extra green circles, and then I ended up using I keep pretty much everything, so I kept the little circles and I used those in my art journaling, and I just glued them down in a page there. And then I backed this with the darker green so that it would show up, and so that's that one. And then because I did actually, I'll confess, I wasn't paying attention, and I need to pay attention more. I was distracted, and I ended up cutting this one out at a little bit larger size, and so I ended up just matting the photograph and sticking it in there. And then I also stuck in a little piece of cardstock underneath so that the hello would show up better. Here you can see it's just the photograph behind it. So that if you make mistakes, try to use them as best you can. I think usually things work out okay. And then I did the exact same thing where I cut, this is the size this is supposed to be. I ended up cutting this too small, but I made it into a regular 3x4, and then I stuck the little Scotties. These actually came from the number 2 cuts for the next page from the inserts there, but I thought they were really cute. And those little hearts also came from another page cut out from the same Artfully scent. So everything on here was used from Artfully scent. I didn't use any other Cricut cartridges, but it's quite a bit of stuff you get just from the one number. And so I wanted you to see that. And I think I'm going to make another video with the second page just to show you there's some, variety here. And that should be up next week. Thanks so much for watching. If you have any questions, please let me know at scrapandthread.blogspot.com. Take care. Bye-bye. Oh, in case you were interested, this is how I use the cutout little circles in my background for some art journaling. This is glued down and then I painted over them, so it makes a kind of a textural type thing. And this is my playlist for my walking art journal.